Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel strikes heart of Beirut, killing 6. US, UK, Germany, Spain and Slovakia continue to evacuate their citizens to evade the escalating crisis. Thousands in North Carolina still without water days after Helene's destruction. Biden and Harris survey storm damage, which claims 180 lives so far. Weakened but still strong Typhoon Krathon slams into Taiwan. 2 dead, hundreds of flights grounded and financial markets closed. India's unified payments interfaces average daily transactions witnessed massive surge this year since the COVID pandemic. Celebrations underway for Hindu festival of Navratri that begins today with devotees offering prayers. Israel launched an airstrike early on Thursday morning, targeting the health authority center affiliated with Hezbollah, killing 6 people. Israeli military said it conducted precise strikes in central Beirut's Boshara neighborhood close to the parliament. The nearest Israeli strikes have come to Lebanon's seat of government. At least 6 people were killed and 7 were wounded in the strikes. With 3 missiles also hitting the southern suburb of Dahieh, where Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah was killed last week. It comes a day after Iran fired over 180 missiles into Israel, drawing condemnation and even stringent retaliation from Tel Aviv. Amidst heightened tension between Israel and Iran on Gaza and Lebanon, efforts for stopping the conflict turning into a regional war has started. Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, has said that he will continue initiatives for peace. G7, India and Russia too have called for restraint and engaged into talks by all concerned parties. Let's get more in DD India's Akhilesh Suman's report ahead.
A day after Iran launched about 200 missiles targeting Israel, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian landed in Qatar to consult and consolidate support in West Asia. He met the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and said that Tehran does not look for war.
We are not looking for war. It is Israel that forces us to react. Israel assassinated our guest in Tehran on the presidential inauguration day. What we want from US and European countries is to tell the entity they have planted in the region to stop the bloodshed.
Pezeshkian is considered a liberal among the Irani politicians and is keen to have good relations with the West. He urged the United States and the European countries to dwell upon Israel from destabilizing the region. Emir of Qatar is playing a role of the mediator between Hamas and Israel. He said that Doha would continue its mediation efforts to end the war. He also reiterated the need for a 2-state solution for permanent peace in the region.
We reiterate that the 2-state solution and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital is the key to achieve a durable and lasting peace in the region.
Meanwhile, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni held an emergency meeting of the G7 nations on Wednesday, and leaders in a statement said that a region-wide conflict is in no one's interest and that a diplomatic solution is still possible. US President Joe Biden also urged Israel to act proportionally against its regional arch foe. On Wednesday, Biden also said that he would not support any Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear sites in response to the ballistic missile attack.
We'll be discussing with the Israelis what they're going to do, but all 7 of us agree that they have a right to respond, but they should respond in proportion.
India has also urged all concerned parties to maintain restraint and has pushed for diplomatic efforts to end the war. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
UK Defence Minister John Healey spoke to Israeli counterpart Yoav Gallant to express total condemnation of Iran's massive missile attack against Israel. In a social media post, Healey said that, I quote, I set out the UK's continuing steadfast commitment to Israel's security. We must avoid further escalation and secure an immediate ceasefire in Lebanon and Gaza. Meanwhile, the Gulf Cooperation Council has affirmed its support for Lebanon during such a critical stage. It also called for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip late on Wednesday after holding an extraordinary ministerial meeting in Doha. The meeting was held to discuss the latest regional developments. The Council also condemned the escalation of conflict in Lebanon and the occupied Palestinian territories, calling on all involved parties to exercise self-restraint and refrain from violence. Various countries, including the US, UK, Germany, Spain and Slovakia, continue to evacuate their citizens from Lebanon to evade the escalating crisis. A charter flight taking British citizens out of Lebanon arrived at Birmingham International Airport on Wednesday. Earlier in the day, British Foreign Minister David Lammy said that more such flights were planned in the coming days. Britain has also urged nationals to leave Lebanon immediately. Germany too continued its evacuation of non-essential staff and vulnerable citizens from Lebanon. Germany's Airbus arrived in Beirut with 5 tons of relief supplies and will bring back 130 particularly vulnerable Germans. The German Foreign Ministry raised its crisis level for the mission in Beirut, Ramallah and Tel Aviv again at the weekend, though the embassies were operational. There are currently 1,800 registered German citizens in Lebanon, of which some 110 people were evacuated on Monday. The United States too organized a flight that carried about 100 American citizens and their relatives out of Lebanon. Besides, Spain and Slovakia are also preparing evacuation of its citizens and other EU nationals using military planes. We'll get to the latest updates from Russia-Ukraine conflict now. A Russian-guided bomb struck a high-rise apartment block in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, late on Wednesday. Ukraine said the rescue operation is underway after the bomb struck between the 3rd and 4th floors of the building located in Saltivka district. In the light of the ongoing attacks, President Zelensky emphasized on the need for increased assistance from Ukraine's Western allies. Earlier, Russian drones also attacked port infrastructure in Ukraine's southern Odessa region, damaging a grain facility and buildings at the border crossing to Romania. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said on Wednesday that Russia has dismissed the possibility of nuclear talks with the United States, citing Washington's stance on NATO expansion.
In order for Washington to reconsider its extremely hostile anti-Russian course, a conversation with the US on strategic issues, including nuclear arms control, is meaningless for Russia. Moreover, it is simply counterproductive. In the long term, we see no point in the strategic dialogue with Washington outside of comprehensive work on general reduction of the level of conflict in relations with respect for the Russia's fundamental interest and with an emphasis on eliminating the fundamental contradictions in the field of security created by the United States of America and NATO.
On the other hand, Russian troops have taken complete control of the eastern city of Volodya, which Ukrainian forces have been defending since the beginning of Moscow's full-scale invasion 2.5 years ago. Ukraine's Eastern Military Command confirmed on Wednesday that Ukrainian troops received an order to pull back troops from the embattled eastern hilltop town of Volodya to avoid encirclement of the Russian troops.
After sustaining many losses in long-lasting battles, the enemy did not give up the attempts to capture Volodya. Trying to take control over the town at any cost, it managed to direct reserve forces to perform flank strikes that tired out Ukraine's armed forces units. As a result of the enemy's actions, a threat of besiegement arose. Senior command granted permission to carry out a maneuver to withdraw units from Volodya in order to preserve personnel and military equipment and to take positions for further actions.
Former President Donald Trump's presidential running mate J.D. Vance returned to the campaign trail a day after squaring off with Democratic rival Tim Walz on the debate stage in New York. Telling a crowd at a Michigan rally he thought the debate went pretty well, Vance added that he felt a little sorry for Governor Walz because he has to defend the indefensible. Vance made an appeal to crucial swing voters in the automaking state, arguing that he and Trump would do more to preserve the jobs of Michigan workers who make gas-powered vehicles as compared to Harris and Walz. Meanwhile, Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz held a rally in York, Pennsylvania, just one day after the vice presidential debate. The debate is likely the final one of the 2024 presidential campaign, potentially giving it some extra weight ahead of the election. Walz took aim at his Republican opponent, Senator J.D. Vance, calling him a slick talker. He also pointed to a critical question he posed during the debate, whether Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign, together with Republican Party, raised over $160 million in September, boosting their cash reserves to $283 million, his campaign revealed on Wednesday. Now, this marks a 23% surge from August's $130 million haul. Trump faces a close contest against Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris in the upcoming November 5th election, with both campaigns flooding battleground states with ads. Harris, however, holds a financial edge, raising a $361 million in August and an additional $55 million at two events last weekend. Democrats' official September figures are yet to be released by the Harris campaign. 6 days after Hurricane Helene slammed into Florida, it carved a destructive path through much of the U.S. Southeast, killing more than 160 people. United States President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris also visited South Carolina on Wednesday to assess the damage brought in by Hurricane Helene.
President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris visited South Carolina, North Carolina and Georgia on Wednesday to see firsthand the devastation brought in the U.S. Southeast by Hurricane Helene, which has killed at least 160 people. Earlier this week, Trump visited Georgia. Presidents and presidential candidates usually do not visit a storm-hit region immediately because of fears they will distract from rescue efforts and divert resources from local law enforcement officials and emergency responders. But the poll season has altered the matrix. More importantly so for the candidates and the political parties, North Carolina and Georgia are among 7 key battleground states in the November 5th election, which is expected to be won by thin margins. Biden landed in Greer, South Carolina, before boarding Marine One for an aerial tour of the region. From the helicopter, Biden could see the grim devastation brought to parts of North Carolina, including Asheville and Chimney Rock. Many of the people living in the area remained cut off from contact with the outside world, even as the U.S. president passed overhead. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris visited Augusta, Georgia, to meet with victims and announce federal funds to cover local costs following the storm.
The President and I have been paying close attention from the beginning to what we need to do to make sure the federal resources hit the ground as quickly as possible. And that includes what was necessary to make sure that we provided direct federal assistance.
Former President Donald Trump, a Republican running against Harris in this year's presidential election, has falsely claimed that Biden, a Democrat, has been unresponsive to the hurricane's destruction, an allegation local officials deny.
In a moment like this, we put politics aside. At least we should put it all aside, and we have here. There are no Democrats or Republicans, there are only Americans. And our job is to help as many people as we can, as quickly as we can, and as thoroughly as we can.
Before leaving Washington, Biden directed up to 1,000 active duty troops to help with response and recovery efforts. Almost 6,000 members of the National Guard are deployed across the 6 states affected by the storm. Biden will head to Georgia and Florida on Thursday. Harris will travel to North Carolina in the coming days. Hurricane Helene slammed into Florida on Thursday as a powerful Category 4 hurricane before tearing a destructive path through southeastern states for several days. Bureau Report, DD India.
Typhoon Krathon has killed at least 2 and injured more than 100 as it makes landfall in Taiwan on Thursday. Strong winds and torrential rain slammed Taiwan's Kaohsiung. Over 10,000 people have been evacuated and the government has urged residents to remain indoors. Winds with speed of 220 kilometers per hour unleashed on the island, disrupting traffic. Domestic and international flights have also been cancelled for the second consecutive day, and schools and offices along with financial markets also remain shut. Krathon made landfall as a much weaker Category 1 typhoon. All right, let's get you updates from the rest of the world now. In Argentina, hundreds of thousands of students protested in the streets against sharp spending cuts at public universities by President Javier Milei's government. The protest came in response to Milei's administration's threat to veto a law passed by Congress several weeks ago to secure university funding. In April, a similar mass demonstration forced Milei to retract the university budget cuts. Morocco has implemented desalination projects to secure its water supply. In the coastal city of Safi, a project to supply drinking water through seawater desalination has been set in motion. By utilizing seawater, Morocco aims to meet its growing water demands and mitigate the impact of water scarcity. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, festive fervor of Durga Puja grips India. We will show you journey of preparation across the country. In cricket, ICC Women's T20 World Cup is all set to begin on Thursday. Hosts Bangladesh will take on Scotland in the opening game. And in hockey, PR Srijesh withdraws from Hockey India League 2024 player auction, says he will focus on mentoring now.
Hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
I am Gujarat. Our nation's history. I represent the heroes of our country.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live, and significant Hindu festival of Navratri, or 9 nights, is being celebrated today, where devotees are flocking various temples to offer prayers, witnessing the traditional aarti. The day marks the beginning of the 9-day festival dedicated to worship of goddess Durga. Throughout India, Navratri celebrations involve the worship of 9 forms of the goddess over 9 days, with rituals including garba, aarti, decorations, recitals and the chanting of scriptures. The festival will culminate with the celebration of Dussehra on October 12th. On the first day of Sharadiya Navratri, devotees gathered at the Mumbai Devi temple in Mumbai for a vibrant Aarti ceremony. Devotees were seen standing up in queues to offer their prayers to Ma Durga on the first day of Navratri. Temples across the country will see a surge of devotees to celebrate the feast and the fest, in fact, for the upcoming 9 days. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his warm wishes to the people on the occasion of Navratri. Prime Minister took to social media platform X and said, I quote him, "Best wishes to all the countrymen for Navratri. We wish that this holy festival dedicated to worshipping Shakti proves auspicious for everyone. Hail Mother Goddess." As the festive season approaches, communities across India are bustling with the preparation of Durga Puja, one of the most significant and celebrated festivals for the Hindu community. In fact, Durga Puja of Kolkata, West Bengal is also now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Take a look.
Lush kashful or wild sugarcane grass swaying in the breeze. Clear skies still waiting for the haze of the winter to settle in. The signs are in the air, loud and clear. Autumn is here and so are the preparations to invoke and worship the Indian goddess Durga. In fact, arrangements begin months before the festival to craft and install the Durga idols at the venues. Yes, it is the time of the year which Indians all over the world, especially the Bengalis, celebrate as Durga Puja. Durga Puja is celebrated by Hindus to commemorate and celebrate the victory of good over evil. This festival marks the intense battle between goddess of power Durga against the ferocious demon Mahishasur. In the Hindu scriptures, goddess Durga is said to have fought Mahishasur for 10 days, which finally ended in her triumph. While this festival is celebrated by Hindus in India and beyond, it was in 2021 when Durga Puja gained an unprecedented global recognition. It was in this year Durga Puja was inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. It is notable to mention that it is the first festival in all of Asia to gain such an illustrious tag. And why not? Durga Puja is a perfect blend of human effort, art, culture and religion.
It is a festival which gives the harmony and all society. Not only the Bengalis, only devotees are coming here, on all non-Bengalis, even some other community people also, they are visiting from several years also.
Besides a time of worship and rituals, Durga Puja is also a time of gathering of friends and families. This festival transcends the edges of India and Hindus all over the world come together to celebrate in joy and bliss.
Durga Puja is a festival where people from all corners of life come together and pray for strength and the well-being of their families and friends. May this auspicious festive season be full of prosperity and happiness for you all. With camera person Ashish Sharma, this is Jayan Das reporting for DD India.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. The Supreme Court will hear a case on air pollution in Delhi NCR today. The court is expected to scrutinize the action taken by Air Quality Management Commission to address the stubble burning and improve air quality. The Indian Supreme Court will also hear petitions today regarding the alleged irregularities at Tirupati Laddu Prasad procurement and distribution. The court previously questioned the state government on whether to continue the SIT investigation or transfer it to an independent agency. Former Indian cricketer and Congress leader Mohammad Azharuddin has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate in Hyderabad cricket body corruption case. He has been accused of misappropriation of 20 crore rupees. Azharuddin, who previously served as president of the Hyderabad Cricket Association, is accused of misappropriating funds during his tenure. Now, this is the first time Azharuddin has been summoned by the ED in connection with the case. Nagaland's Department of Tourism has started preparations with full swing to celebrate the Silver Jubilee of the Hornbill Festival. This is scheduled from December 1st to December 10th at the Kisama Heritage Village of Nagaland. Average daily transactions on India's Unified Payments Interface, or the UPI, surged over eightfold this year since the pandemic. It rose from 60 million in September 2020 to over 500 million by September 2024. Now, according to the National Payments Corporation of India, in September 2024 alone, UPI processed 15.04 billion transactions valued at 20.64 trillion rupees. The platform's growth is matched by a steady rise in the number of participating banks. On to updates from the world of sports now. The ICC Women's T20 World Cup is all set to begin on Thursday, with the host Bangladesh going against Scotland in the opening game at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium. Bangladesh captain Nigar Sultana led the way as the 10 national skippers met in Dubai to mark the start of the tournament that will come to a conclusion in the same city on 20th of October. Group A contenders India will hope that 2024 is their year to win the first ICC World Cup, having been runners-up in 3 editions, that is in the 2020 T20 World Cup and the 2005 and the 2017 50-over tournaments. Harmanpreet Kaur's side comes into this event ranked 3rd in the world and have reached at least the semi-finals of the last 3 ICC Women's T20 World Cups. Indian hockey star P.R. Srijesh has now decided to officially end his playing career and withdraw from the upcoming Hockey India League player auction, making way for the youngsters and focusing on coaching and mentorship roles instead. Srijesh said that he had written to Hockey India indicating his desire to step away from the field and groom the next generation of players. Srijesh has already been given charge of the junior Indian men's team, pending final approval from SAI and also the Sports Ministry. He will be associated with one of the franchisees in the upcoming league as its brand ambassador. Interestingly, the clearance from the government is stuck on his remuneration, and federation officials have said that Hockey India will bear his salary until then. Alright, that's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the respective QR codes on your screens. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.